Well, um, well, should I begin? Firstly, I'd like to apologize for the lack of uploads this week. So, yeah, I got a job in the field I've been working towards finally, and I've been dealing with that and going through orientation, blah, blah, blah. Right? That's my excuse for the quick absence. But while I was working, I've been working on scripts for upcoming videos, and honestly, what a time to come back with Loki Season 2 and a review for it. So let's get into it. And oh man, let's get this out of the way, the non-spoilerish section, and get my thoughts on the episodes after my last video, and primarily the finale, right? The finale. Honestly, these episodes were banging, right? They were fucking banging, right? Well, two out of the three. Episode 4 was honestly a delight, a clash of the two opposing sides in the show, which is always pretty nice to see, right? Let's recap a little bit, right? One side is trying to fix the loom in a way where it can handle all the branches, while the other needs Victor Timely, Mr. Timely, to take control of the TVA and most likely go back to the original TVA status quo and pruning branches, but with new management. This season, all I can say is better than the first. While by itself it's absolutely crazy and probably doesn't make much sense, it works as a season that builds upon the last and elevates the story and even the foundation of the MCU, since now we can now have different stories from different universes in play. Overall, I enjoy these last 3 episodes, even though one is pretty much set up for the next episode, which is the finale. Episode 5 was a setup episode, and I thought there was a big fear in my heart that that this episode was going to lead into an episode and not really give us that satisfying ending, that satisfying finale. But I'm glad that my fear never became something real, wasn't realized, and the finale was just amazingly satisfying in the end. Now, for the entire season, though, this season was interesting, and always something is always going on. The objectives, the plot, and everything is always evolving until, episode 4 or 5? Pretty sure just episode 5, when what needed to be done was clear, but, it was not really something our main character, Loki, wanted to do. But he went ahead and found the secret third option that kind of was part of the first set of options that He Who Remains put in front of him, basically take over. And here we are, with, Loki finding out what type of god he wants to be. With the ending of season 2 of Loki, it gave us something to really think about as the MCU progresses and where it will go. Now, for the season as a whole, I enjoyed it for the most part. There was nothing I really thought was too boring or too much, but more so the wonder where the series was going as it went on. But now that it ended, I feel like, that it was satisfying. It was pretty good. I'll give this season a 9. Loki Season 2 set an example of what to do with a show connected to a whole universe. It should elevate the universe with its storytelling and progression. Loki Season 2 should become the standard for Season 2s out there, for seasons progressing on in its life cycle, because it uses the last season to help elevate the show itself. It's all one show, and Loki obviously capitalizes on this to give a fulfilling conclusion to its own show. Now, with all the non-spoiler crap out the way, let's talk about spoilers. Now, let me say, goddamn, goddamn, I didn't know where the show was going as I was watching the last episode. I feared it was going in the way Sylvie wanted, because it kind of did, and in episode 5, where I'll just say my main gripe with the show, it's with Sylvie. Sylvie is my main gripe with the show. Specifically, with her trying to hunt down infinite Kangs and, let the branches branch, even though it's been pretty proven that, you can't do that shit, but, she just doesn't care. And I understand that, she was blinded by rage and, her experiences and all that crap, but at the end of the day, she's a grown-ass woman, she already had her revenge, technically. But she is a character that is just one of those that just does things without, actually thinking. And it was just like that till the end. And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just didn't really vibe with her character. It just wasn't, something I wanted to see from her character, if that makes more sense, right? Her whole objective, after killing He Who Remains, was entirely impossible to try and kill the Infinite Kangs and, do all this and that. Because, the sacred timeline and all the branches would cease to exist. So her entire plan and, her objective, like I said before, it's all fucking dumb. It's stupid. What what annoys me about all this is that, she could have been a really good, interesting character. However, she has such a fixation on some of the stupidest things that has been proven to be literally lethal to everything. I know she went ahead and said, "Oh yeah, I lived on apocalypses." I like I've always gone ahead and been through apocalypse all my entire life. That's how I grew up, and I just don't care for this whole self-destruction type of thing, because this isn't just an apocalypse. This is literally everything that that they know, no matter what. Literally all of time, creation, whatever, it just would cease to exist. But to her, she would not really care much, which is, it just, like I said before, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But most of the time, she just stands there, and sometimes just yelling at everyone, and it just reiterates what's right and wrong for her, and what's good for everybody. I'm just sitting there like looking at her like, can you please stop? Like people are actually trying to help, and she doesn't really help. And that's what bugs me. She doesn't really help in this situation, but bitch. And that just that's just something like nobody wants to hear, and that's just it's just a shame that they kind of make her character that way, right, in this season. They really did fumble the ball with Sylvie's character, as since she doesn't really do anything. She's just there to remind Loki and that He Who Remains shouldn't write everyone's destiny and all that crap. If they played it to where they got closer, and as the season progressed romantically, she becomes someone who reflects his conscience in a less bossy way, I would like to say, it would have been better. But they didn't do that. She's really smug, especially when she temporarily got her way, and it kind of pissed me off. And it was nice to see that everything she did kind of like blew up in her face, literally, most of the time, right? Everything was pretty much her fault, and in the end, she never really takes any sort of accountability or action. Now, since Loki is now holding one of the most important roles in the MCU right now, alone. Now, that's just my gripe with the whole show as a whole, right? But I love the progression of everything I saw in the show, but more importantly, I loved how everything was pretty much tapping right back into that same little spot, and everything was just circling around in He Who Remains hands. I loved it. I loved how they spun back around to the office scene in season 1. I loved it. Mwah. French kisses all around. Amazing. Loved it. Loved it all, right? Loki using all the branches, though, to forge everything into a time tree? Wow. Just wow. With different universes and everything with the branch. Oh, my God. It's great. It's great. So, with the time tree, like, to people who probably saw it, it is fashioned as, the tree. It kind of looks like Yggdrasil. And Loki holding the tree together alone is giving everyone a chance to live. Which is kind of something, that Sylvie kind of wanted everybody to have their own chance with with living their lives the way they want, but with the contraption that He Who Remains made, it wasn't really possible. And honestly, like I said before, like, she didn't really have a plan for it. And Loki going ahead and replacing everything with, something that, was probably familiar with him, and, taking on this burden alone is, it's nice to see. It's honestly nice to see that, a character getting this type of development in this show, in his own show, that actually matters and is actually impactful to the whole entire universe as a whole. Now, everything is in reverse. Now the TVA are always looking at Kangs, getting ready for any war that was prophesied by He Who Remains, and later on we'll see what this war will look like. Honestly, I would love to see what this war looks like in real time in an actual movie, if we do get that far with Jonathan Majors, if things go his way, I guess, but anyways, because of, Loki, because one of them will obviously try to take down Loki from his throne, just like Loki did with He Who Remains. So I am looking forward to that. I am looking forward to a big sort of event where one of them will try to take down Loki, which could be really cool. It could be a really cool movie. But in the end, He Who Remains won. The options he laid out for Sylvie and Loki were both taken as a fact, right? Take his place or kill him and doom the sacred timeline. Of course, Loki modified the first choice a bit, but in the end, He Who Remains is still a relevant character, and everything he has said too is still relevant. No matter what, the war is coming, and it's up to the heroes of the main MCU, to try and stop it, to try and make sure that, nothing gets that far. But, it's definitely gonna end up happening because, Marvel is a little bit running out of ideas. Also, side note, I am gonna appreciate that little 616 little couple lines they added at the end of season 2. I heard that shit. I appreciate that. I really do. But in the end, Loki season 2 really did outdo itself. I do like what they did with Loki here. Loki, with all his desire to be king in the beginning, a throne for himself, but not knowing what kind of god he wants to be, he became a god that holds probably the most heaviest burden, taking on the most selfless act so he could protect the people he loved. I think from Miss Minutes, Renslayer to OB, I really like OB here, and Mobius, everyone added something to this season and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everyone, for the most part, was enjoyable to see on screen. Everyone had purpose to the story. Everything made sense in the end for the most part. Now we have to get fed the information somehow on how this new multiverse structure works and how it will be relevant later on, right? I'm kind of looking forward to what they have planned now, technically, since, they can use multiverse stuff now more, seamlessly. And, maybe they could restart, switch things up, or even just look and interact with other universes. It could be cool. The only issue is probably the lack of good writers and directors that might spoil this fruit Loki has given life to, and that it is what keeps me from being totally excited. But that's just me. I know there's plenty of people who, are ecstatic. They're amazed. They want more. This show breathed new life into their fandom, their fanaticism of the MCU. For me, about 40, 30%, because with everything, we all see, especially with the Marvels that came out recently, things are topsy-turvy, things aren't going too well on the Marvel side. Loki's all the way up here, and the Marvels is all the way down here, so I'm tempering my expectations for a good majority of their projects going forward. So, like I said, this season is a 9. To me, at least, it is interesting. It was great, and most of all, it was just nice to see some competent dialogue and storytelling from the MCU. And it's been a while. It's definitely been a while. And, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this entire series. Let me know if you enjoyed the series now that it's ended. If they do make a season 3, I'd be surprised because this was a great season to end the whole show on. Like, seriously. Just don't make a season 3. Let this be it. Honestly, unless they can somehow top this, I kind of doubt it. I really doubt it. But, let me just shut the fuck up now. Catch you guys next time, everyone. Be safe mentally, emotionally, and physically. Later. Have a great day.